22 days. That is how long it took me to go from a frustrated entrepreneur to actually selling an offer that has generated over $10,000 in a very short period of time. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened in those 22 days so that you can go from struggling to people actually being excited what you are selling. But first, let me paint a picture of where I was. It was October 23rd. And I was feeling completely defeated. I was sitting in my coach's virtual office on Zoom. My son was actually sitting right there across the room. And I just remember telling her, hey, nobody is wanting what I'm selling. I've been trying everything under the sun for 2.5 years straight. Every single day I get up and do the same thing. I thought that consistency would work. I thought that volume would work. I thought that all these things would work. Maybe there's something wrong with my offer. Maybe I need to create something that'll bridge the gap. And my coach said this. She said, Ina, I will go to my kitchen right now and bang pots and pans together to be more creative. If you say that that's really what's going to help, and you know what? I don't really want to. And that was a point in time when I realized what I'm selling had power. It had the power to transform your mind, to completely regenerate your creative systems. But the packaging was wrong. The language I was speaking was wrong. It was almost like I wasn't even speaking English. It was like I was speaking this foreign language that nobody understood. And I wasn't creating based on my customer in mind. I was creating based on what I wanted to create. And yes, you should be able to create what you want. You should be able to create something that you are passionate about. But really where the magic happens is when you combine your genius zone, hence the name of this channel, Unlock Your Genius Zone. When you combine your genius zone with the person's pain and you actually step into their pain and you create something that brings it all together. That's where the real magic is. And that's what I had been missing all those years. So October 23rd, immediately, I took action. I started brainstorming in my head. I had to actually go and feed my son breakfast. I had to go do a bunch of mom things, but my brain the wheels were turning. And I was caught in a trap until this point where I had all this passion, I had all this knowledge, but somehow it wasn't translating. And the worst part is I was starting to doubt whether I had anything of value at all to offer people. So let me take you through what happened next. It was the day after I had that conversation with my coach. It was a Thursday, and I immediately went into a sales training call. I started role playing with this new thought in mind. I had already started to pivot in my head. I was no longer selling, just learning the cello, which was my offer at the time. I was actually selling how to be more creative, how to be empowered with your ideas. And this has evolved to what my programs are now. But at the time, this was a massive leap. I had gone from the identity of a cello teacher to the identity of a business coach overnight. And I remember myself saying actually to the person I was chatting with, it really isn't about music at all. It is about discovering your genius zone and actually creating something from there in a way that is sustainable. That was the first piece that I needed to translate what I was saying in her words, because that's what she was telling me. She was telling me, I need to be more creative on the spot. I need to be able to take more creative risks. And I needed a container that I could create in so that I was no longer working in the business, but I was working on the business. That's what she wanted. And that's the pain that I had to step into. Day 3, this is where things got very intense. After those 2 conversations, the one with my coach and the one with the prospect, I pivoted everything. I was about to do a challenge. It was going to be called the Make Music Challenge. And I completely switched the name. At that point in time, I was reading 10x is easier than 2x, that book. So I decided I'll just make it the 10x Your Creativity Challenge. And immediately there was a little bit more interest because I know that I was speaking to the people who really wanted to develop their creativity. And more importantly, they wanted to control their creativity. They wanted their ideas to actually translate to the people that they were speaking to in the same way that I had been struggling with that for so many years. I learned to translate my passion into the person's language that I wanted to really reach. And on day 3 of this process, there was a 19-minute brainstorm session that actually resulted in a sales conversation with somebody. I am a part of a wonderful mastermind. If any of my mastermind girlies are listening, thank you for this moment. This was pivotal. I was telling my friends about this change, about the intensity of this decision, and I still didn't really have the offer mapped out. I knew what I really wanted to do with it, and I knew what I was capable of, but I didn't know what it would really turn out to be. So they prompted me with a couple questions, and I quickly brain dumped the outline of what is now my main business coaching program. I presented it to the group 19 minutes later. The crazy thing is this. One woman, her business partner was actually listening because she was in the car. They were on their way to, I think, a Taylor Swift concert. And she was listening. And within 3 minutes of me talking about this new offer, she said, "Hey, this sounds like exactly what I need." And I was in a sales conversation right there. This is now 3 days after I have felt the frustration and 3 minutes after I had presented the idea in the first place. So over the next 19 days, the remaining days between day 1 and day 22, I did something most entrepreneurs skip entirely. I gathered evidence, and I gathered these evidence in a couple different places. One of the ways that I gathered the evidence is I ran my challenge twice in 3 weeks. It was so intense, but so worth it. I got a lot of data. It gave me an idea of what people could achieve. It gave me some quick wins for people. It gave breakthroughs. And the most beautiful part is I was actually only spending 15 to 20 minutes at the end of the day organizing what I had captured. It was pretty cool. We had our first snowfall within those 3 weeks, and I remember playing outside with my son. He was 18 months old. We were building his first snowman, and I had this idea of how having this system of creativity can give you presence of mind as you build snowmen. And that idea literally went into my idea bank, the way that I was organizing it. In just 22 days, I launched a completely new offer. I made sales before I even had a formal sales page. The business grew by 383% in just 1 month. And I created a systematic approach that I could repeat, and most importantly, that I could teach. But here's what's really important. I discovered the 20% of activities that you really need in order to experience a breakthrough in your business. And I was able to give this system to every client that I've worked with since then. Now you might be wondering, what is this framework? What were the specific activities and steps that made this possible? And here's what I discovered. There are only 3 areas of knowledge you need to capture while you're in this pre-launch process. Just 3. Most entrepreneurs are spinning their wheels doing 100% of the activities that they think will get them there when there's really a list of 20% of activities that'll take the information that creates 80% of your results. It's based on the Pareto's principle. 20% of your efforts result in 80% of your results. These 3 knowledge areas plus 1 implementation checklist eliminates the guesswork. All you have to do is document these 3 areas, and no longer will people be wondering what it is that you're selling. No more launching into the void and hoping for the best. In fact, you don't even need to know what your offer is right now. All you need are these 3 steps in this framework, and you are going to see crystal clear direction on where you're supposed to go. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where is this checklist? What are the 3 things? What's the implementation checklist? And I've created something very special for you. It's a free guide that reveals the number 1 mistake that entrepreneurs make when they try to launch a new offer. It's going to reveal what those 3 areas are and how to put them all together in this implementation checklist. This guide is the perfect start. If you are in a similar place to me as that October day when I felt frustrated and I had to do something different. Because what brought you here isn't going to take you there. And I know you have big goals. You want to have consistent 10K months. You maybe even want to have consistent $100,000 months. And knowing what the 20% of information is, being empowered to take action is going to get you there. So if you're tired of the guessing game, go ahead and grab the checklist, grab this guide in the description box, and I cannot wait to see what you create with it. Now, if you resonated with this, please hit the follow button and share this with a fellow entrepreneur who could use that boost of motivation and clarity so that they can finally create the offer that's on their heart. Until next time.